Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New Hampshire 2022 Annual Summer Food Service Program Training. I am Patty Kerrigan, and I am the lead program specialist for the Summer Food Service Program, and I also run the Child and Adult Program, and sorry, I moved that too fast. Kelly Rambo is our new administrator for all of our child nutrition programs. She has replaced Sherry. Some of you may know or recognize her as she comes from the Pelham School District. Marty Davis is the lead for the National School Lunch Program, Seamless Summer Program, and helps me a lot with the Summer Food Program. And we also have with us Sandrine, who's a program specialist for CACFP and Summer Food with the USDA Food and Nutrition Services for the Northeast Regional Office, which we also call it NERO. We have Tam Feener and Ruth Howard, who are our program specialists for NSLP. Ruth just started 2 weeks ago, so we welcome her. And while we're presenting, we encourage you to please write your questions or comments in the chat box. We will pause between sections to answer the questions. All right, so did it move? Okay. It's going backwards on me. There we go. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I apologize. As you all know, that the Summer Food Service Program is a federally funded state administrative program. The program reimburses sponsors who serve free healthy meals to children 18 and under. We're now going to watch a video from USDA on why we serve the meals. Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. So now I'm going to have Kelly take over and talk about the SFSP and Farm to School program.
Thank you, Patty, and welcome everybody this morning to our training. So here in New Hampshire, the Summer Food Service Program and the Farm to School program are a perfect match. Usually our fresh fruit and vegetable program specialists would speak to this. However, our position is currently vacant here at the state, and we are in the process of finding someone to fill it. If you know anyone who would be interested in the fresh fruit and vegetable and National School Lunch program, here is the link that you can find in the chat to pass along. To conduct training, monitoring, and implementing service delivery program policies and regulations for the USDA child nutrition programs, including the National School Lunch, breakfast, fruits and vegetable program, farm to school program, as well as federal reporting associated with claim reimbursement and payments to the field, is what this job would be responsible for. So now we'll talk about procuring local foods. In New Hampshire, summer is our primary growing season. Items like carrots, broccoli, cucumbers, zucchini, salad greens, and tomatoes are readily available as local product. All great items to include in your summer meals. There are different options for sourcing local foods and finding the right fit for your program that is highly important. We will be talking about some of the options for procuring local products and items in the next slide. So you can see here that there are some ways to procure your local foods, and we'll go through each one separately. One or more would be a good fit for your program, or there could be other ways as well, but these are the four main options for procuring local. First, direct from the farm is one great way to procure local. Some foods may be available to offer direct delivery or set up a weekly pickup program at the farm or at another convenient location. Reach out to farms in your area to see what might be possible. Some farms further away may even be interested in partnering with you, as you may be on their daily distribution route. Existing distributor. Ask your existing distributor what local products they currently provide. Clearly communicate that your definition of local is, example, in New Hampshire is 20 miles from the meal site. Existing distributors can be a great way to procure local. Next, a farmer's market. A farmer's market can be a great fit if you are purchasing in small volume. Be sure to keep your receipts to fully document your process and purchases. Next, we have food hub. Food hubs are popping up more and more in New Hampshire. Food hubs help distribute the product from local farmers. Similarly, working with a distributor, a small purchase model can be used to partner with your local food hub throughout the summer. How to purchase your local produce. When purchasing local produce, it will most likely fall between two different types of purchasing models, those being the small purchase model and the micro purchase model. Use the small purchase model if you are comparing prices. You need to compare or receive quotes from a minimum of 2 producers or distributors that have purchased qualifying as a small purchase. An example of this, if you compare the cost of carrots per pound from farmer A and carrots per pound from farmer B, you're already under a small purchase model. Be sure to document your comparisons. Thus, if there is a comparison of prices, that you have moved from a micro purchase to a small purchase model. However, prices are compared. However the prices are compared, please be sure to document. Documentation is key in everything that we do. Use the micro purchase model if no cost comparisons are made. Each transaction is a one-time purchase under your locally determined micro purchase threshold. If you use this model throughout the summer, be sure to document fair, equitable distribution of purchases. This means going around to different farms in the area, not always looking at the same farm. Remember to run the RAN test to make sure that produce is reasonable, allowable, and necessary. The federal small purchase threshold is $250,000, and the micro purchase threshold is now $50,000, and that's a change from before, from the 10,000 to 50,000. Please refer to your governing body to find out what your threshold is for your small and micro purchases. And here is the link to the USDA resources. From the link, there is a wealth of farm to school resources. Please always feel free to reach out if you have any questions on how to partner and produce local product. So Patty is going to now put up a polling question for everybody to respond to.
Sorry, I was unmuted at that point. So we have we have residential camps, we have non-residential camps, sponsors of multiple sites, sponsors of one site, SAUs, which are schools, and upward bounds. So we'll give it just a couple more seconds. Oh, 100% answered. Okay, so end poll. And hopefully the results, do you guys see the results? Kelly, do you see them?
Yes, Patty.
Okay. So yeah, so we have 44% camps are, residential camps. We have 13% of camps that are not residential. We have 31% of multiple sites, so sponsors of multiple sites. We have 9% that are just a sponsor of themselves. We have 9% of SAUs or schools, and we have 6%, which is upward bounds. Those are our colleges that do an upward bound program. I also want to mention that anytime that we talk about the links, I have put all of the links into the chat already, and we are going to, I will also send them. I have a page that I'm going to send out with your certificates, so you'll have them that way as well. And oh, okay, Kelly answered many things. So, okay. And we are being recorded. So the link will be sent out and put onto our website for future training for people that need to be trained still. And then we also have a YouTube link. So we'll be working on that as well. So now we're going to talk about sponsor responsibilities. We will be going over the sponsor's responsibilities as we go along, such as the permanent agreement, work with personnel or volunteers and make sure that the sites operate within compliance in USDA state regulations, prepping of the meals or find prepping of the meals or find a vendor to make the meals. This would include the RFP for a vended meals contract. And then also filing of the reimbursement claims. Civil rights. Civil rights is an important aspect of all child nutrition programs, including summer. Treat all your participants equally is a must. In the US, there's a federal protected classes where people are protected from discrimination in these areas. Come on. So we have race, age, national origin, color, disability, sex, and reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity. Not all prohibited bases will apply to all programs and/or employee activities. So civil rights and the New Hampshire state protection classes. In addition, New Hampshire has these protected classes that ensure individuals in the workplace are protected from discrimination in these areas, which are sexual orientation, religion, marital status, familial status, physical or mental disability, or gender identity. So limited English proficiency, also known as LEP. The New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights offers telephone interpreters of 150 languages for immediate or scheduled intake services or general questions. USDA has application translations on their website, which is listed on this slide. Children with special dietary needs. Revisions have been made to the way we think about special dietary needs, most especially with the term substantially limits. There is a PowerPoint presentation on the New Hampshire DOE website for your use. The web address is listed on the slide. The definition of a disability is a person with a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, a person who has a record of an impairment, a person who is regarded as having an impairment. Then the expanded definitions of disability revises substantially limits, which are need not prevent or severely, significantly restrict a major life activity, individualized assessment, without regard to ameliorative effects of mitigating measures. And it may include an impairment that is episodic or is in remission if it would substantially limit the major life activity when active. So this is the new non-discrimination poster for everyone. If you have posters with the Statue of Liberty, you do need to get rid of those. And now we have the agriculture building on the poster. Remember that you cannot reformatting the wording or the size of the poster, except during the pandemic, you are allowed to go into the USDA website and print 8.5-11 sheets. But remember, that's only if you do not have any of the new ones. Wherever the public is eating, the poster needs to be visible. We do have new posters at our office, so please let us know if you need one or more. Please note that for those organizations and sites that are providing summer meals at this time, you must display the posters. You can print off the 8.5-by-11 poster if you do not have the official poster. But that will end soon. So as soon as we can get out all the posters, you will not be allowed to use the 8.5 during the summer, only because we've been told by USDA right now, we're going back to what's called normal status. And we'll talk about that more later on. So what is your sponsor civil rights requirements? The poster must be in a public location where those that are eating can be seen. It may be on a wall outside of your kitchen, on a bulletin board, multi-purpose room, coolers, and they can't be folded. They all have, it has to be the whole poster to be able to see. You can't have it on the front of the cooler and the back of the cooler cut in half. So I know that makes it a little bit hard. Neon windows and carts, etc. Again, please do not cut the poster in half and place half on one side of the cooler and the other half. We have been seeing USDA and the state can anytime pop into an unannounced visit. And this was seen when USDA had done that. So that's why we talk about it so strongly. The poster must be displayed in its entirety without being split or folded, and it must be the actual size, except for the 8.5 by 11 until we get them to you. USDA has application translations on their websites, which is listed at the bottom of the slide. So for the discrimination complaint policy, food service must either be part of the district's complaint policy or they must have one of their own. Policy must clearly guide the actions that must be taken if someone issues a complaint of discrimination within the meal program. The policy cannot infer that a complaint will be handled and resolved at the local level. It must be clear that the complaint has to go straight to the state agency, NARO, or the Washington office at any time. Both written and verbal complaints will be addressed. Someone at the school, food authority, or organization must be willing and able to help complete and submit the forms. The state agency must be notified of any complaints of discrimination. So we're gonna keep going with the requirements. So equal access is for all, regardless of race, age, national origin, color, disability, sex, reprisal, or retaliation for prior civil rights activities. The poster gives people instructions on how to file a complaint. However, every sponsor needs to have a written procedure or policy on civil rights, meaning how does the sponsor handle the complaint and what is your process? Racial and ethnic data. Visual observation by the sponsor organization's monitor is no longer allowed. State agencies, local agencies, and other sub-recipients must provide for and maintain a system to collect the racial and ethnic data in accordance with the Food Nutrition Services policies. These data will be used to determine how effectively FNS programs are reaching potentially eligible persons and beneficiaries, identifying areas where additional outreach is needed, assist in the selection of locations for compliance reviews, and complete reports as required. State agency, local agencies, and other sub-recipients are required to obtain data by race and ethnic category on potentially eligible population, applicants, and participants in their program service area. Systems for collecting actual racial and ethnic data must be established and maintained for all programs. You must not ask the child for their race or ethnic background. Instead, sponsors will use local data from sources such as school enrollments or census data to complete the form. The next slide will show the form. I think I took that form out. So the form that we typically use in our monitoring is the one that you can use for the data, but what we're requiring you is to when I get to the application section, you're going to see where you need to put the racial ethnic data on your application, but you also need to keep the backup in your files. So we're going to try another polling question. Let's see. Oh, Don't know what just happened. Oh, here we go. So what year did USDA start? So just interested to see if anybody knows the answers. Oh, a lot of guesses. And I'm not we're recording this, but I don't worry about it going under your name because I put these all as anonymous when you're filling these out. So 100% has answered. So 1968, you're correct. The 3-year pilot program provided grants to states to help provide meals for children when school was not in session. So it started a long time ago. And poll, okay. So at the bottom of every site application, you are to provide an estimate of the racial ethnic makeup of the population to be served from sources as census tract data, public school data, housing authority data, etc. So this site told us that there were 513 youths total. There were 420 are Caucasian, 40 African American, and 53 Asian American. I need to see something on this line. If you are going to put 99% Caucasian and 1% other, you must have the documentation that states that. So whatever you want to use to obtain your data, you must put that data at the bottom of the site page on the online application. And you must keep the records of where you obtain this data, as I will want to see it when I come out for an administrative review. So I know this is going to be a little different for you guys. And we are looking for the census data link for the USDA. We have not, we have questions out there to find out where it's at. Yeah, I think it has changed, or they're updating it at this point. So as soon as I do have that information, I'll send that out to you guys so you can use that as well. So public notification and outreach. The state agency sent out public release to the union leader, New Hampshire unemployment offices, and newsletters on February 1st of this year regarding the program statewide. That's something we have to do. However, it is up to each participating sponsor to submit a public news release to the media in the area where you will be having the summer program. There's a sample news release on our website, one for open sites and one for closed or campsites. So even your residential camps have to put this in, have to request a press release. Every sponsor needs to send it out. This is a public release, so it's up to the paper whether they will publish it. You can also send it to your schools. They usually have a way to get the word out to all the parents. Use your local resources to get the word out about feeding children. Send stuff to your libraries. Kids go to libraries during the summer. Maybe, a parent will see that they can get free meals at this time at a certain location. So it's just another way to get the word out regarding the program. And Kelly, I'm going to let you talk for now.
Okay, we are now going to talk about reasonable modifications to the meal pattern. So a modification is a change in the meal pattern. The modification should be something that is by the program. Once presented with a defined modification, no need to go further to establish the truth. SFSP meals and snacks must meet the requirements for the SFSP meal pattern. However, modifications to the meal pattern may be necessary to meet the dietary needs of children who qualify as having a disability under the federal or state non-discrimination laws. Examples of possible modifications include food restrictions, substitution, texture changes, such as pureed, ground, chopped, or thickened liquids, and increased or decreased calories. Modifications to the meal service also include ensuring that facilities and personnel are adequate to provide these necessary services.
Kelly, can I just interrupt and say you're still breaking up a little bit?
Oh, how about now, Patty?
That's good.
Okay. So for reasonable modifications, modification is gluten-free. It does not mean that the modification must include the purchase of SIR gluten-free bread. It does, however, mean that the suitable replacement should be made such as rice or another product. If the child has an allergy to apples, then an orange or plum can be served instead of that. You can refer to the USDA memo CA-CFP 14-2017 and SFSP 10-2017, modifications to accommodate disabilities in child and adult care food program and summer food program. Please see the link on our website to give you additional information regarding meal modifications. And also Patty has put the meal modification form in the chat at the beginning of the training. Reasonable modifications, key considerations. You may want to consider the cost and resources that you have available and the age of the child. Watch out for stereotypes. You don't want the individuals driving the decisions. Only facts should be considered at this point. Lifestyle choices, such as vegetarian, is not considered a disability and need not be accommodated unless it is related to an underlying disability. Now we'll talk about the special dietary meal statement. The special dietary meal statement form has been updated to include only 3 essential components at this point. The food to be avoided, a brief explanation of how the exposure to food affects the child. No disability should be listed on this meal statement. And number 3 will be the recommended substitutes for this modification. The form is also broken down into 2 sections. Modification that is made outside of the meal pattern. This would need a professional signature. And number 2, modification within the meal pattern, such as no apple or any other fruit. The link can also be found to this form on our website. There is a picture of the form on the next slide. Thank you, Patty. So as you can see here, the blue arrow is for the licensed medical professional, and the yellow arrow is for the parent or legal guardian. We also encourage that you have someone fill out these forms. Make sure they are returned to your facility. Many of these are faxed to our office, and we, in a sense, have no idea where they go to. So please make sure that these forms, when they are filled out, are sent directly to your office. We will do our best to make sure if they are sent here that we try to get them to their rightful home, but we want to make sure that you have the tools that you need to perform your program appropriately. So when you send this out, make sure that it's directed back to you. And then here is the link for Accommodating Children with Disabilities Manual. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions on this topic? If you do, please put them in the chat and we will try to address them as they come in.
So somebody says they don't see the links. They are on this chat, make sure you're on everyone. And they're at the very beginning of this chat, so you would have to scroll up. But again, I will be putting the one page that has all the links in here. And I will send that out when I send out the certificates as well. So it looks like people have just put in how many posters they would like. I don't really see any questions.
And Patty, what might happen is that I believe if you sign on after you have put them in the chat, they might not be able to see them. So what we'll do is we will also put them at the end of the session while we're going over questions, but Patty will also send them out when she sends out your certifications as well.
Thank you. I didn't even think of that, so that's good. So we'll move on right now because there's no questions at this time. So
Okay,
here,
everybody's still here. Oops.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry, Patty. So here's an activity that can be a fun addition to have children.
Oh, we lost you again. Well, let me continue. No. Oops. So while Kelly tries to figure out, I'm just going to go on and say, here's an activity that can be fun addition to summer meals. It's nice to engage the children. You know, a lot of times if you engage them in something and they're sitting around, they're more likely to, you know, sit and eat while you guys are talking and trying to do something. So it just helps to keep the children engaged and just, you know, stay and eat their meals as they should, because the non-congregate has gone bye-byes as of June 30th. So we will be back to normal and everybody will have to do congregate feeding. So for those who wish to receive commodity foods, please refer to this slide for the contact information, because they are not in our department. They're in the Department of Admin Services. When you check off the commodities on your application, your summer food application, I then send your information to Katie and they will be in touch with you. Please note that if you check off commodities but didn't want them, we will not be able to amend your application for the change. So be really, really careful when you guys are doing your applications. Just a side note. So now we're going to go on to the sponsor responsibilities. The responsibility of the Summer Food Service Program sponsors are to attend a training, which you're doing, and conduct trainings. Administrative and site personnel must be trained, and no site can operate until personnel have attended trainings sessions. Each site shall have present at each meal service at least one person who has received training. At a minimum, training of the site personnel will include the purpose of the summer food, site eligibility, record keeping, site operations, meal pattern requirements, civil rights, and the duties of the monitor. Sponsors will also have to ensure that the administrative personnel are thoroughly knowledgeable in all regulations and required areas of the Summer Food Service Program administration and operation. The CFRs are shown here. So these are the federal regulations that we have to follow. Written agreements. When the sponsoring organization signs the permanent agreement with the state agency, they agree to abide by all federal and state regulations regarding the Summer Food Service Program. We are definitely, I'm going to have you guys do the permanent agreements this year again, only because Sherry has left and we have Kelly here now. So we need the new signatures. So I know you guys are pretty used to it. Just have some, you know, have the signature and upload it to your applications. So each year, participating summer food service program sponsors must upload a complete application packet to the state agency by the specified state agency deadline date. This year's deadline are on the slides. USDA is June 15th, meaning I need to have all you guys approved before June 15th. State agency is May 15th. When I put May 15th, I must have been not really looking at the calendar because that is a Sunday. So if it goes to Monday, that's fine. Let's see, failure to meet the USDA deadline date will result in the sponsor not being able to participate in the summer food service program for the current season. Schools are a good resource for outreach for your summer feeding program. Be sure to let them know about the open sites in your attendance area. And the reason I emphasize that schools, to use them, because schools have a responsibility to tell the children where the summer food sites and the parents where they are located, or how they can find where they're located. So what does not be seriously deficient mean? To be approved, applicants must not have been declared seriously deficient or terminated from the SFSP or any other federal child nutrition programs in previous years. However, such an applicant may be approved if the state agency determines that they have taken appropriate corrective actions to prevent reoccurrence of the deficiencies and has repaid any outstanding debts. Seriously deficient, that's the status of an institution that has been determined to be non-compliant in one or more aspects of its operation in the program. So now we're going to move on to serving low-income children. There are mapping tools that USDA has provided to us to see if the site is area eligible or if it's rural or metro. Other available tools include the Capacity Builder and a Routemapper. The following slides are the screenshots of the mapping tools. So this is what we had last year, and I've put an X against it because the nationwide waiver ends June 30th or the last day of school. So if school ends June 15th, that's when this waiver ends. So even if you're going to be serving summer food June 20th, you cannot use this waiver. The waiver ends when school ends. So that's how it has to go through. So, it's good that we're kind of going back to normal, but it's sad that we're losing some of these waivers. Again, we've been told we're going back to normal, but we've also been told there's stuff in the works. So this may all change, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. So the eligibility mapper, the area eligibility mapper, uses census data to show if summer meal sites may operate an open site in the program. Let me go to the next slide. So this is the area eligible mapper, and it uses the census data again. The program, this allows users to confirm eligibility of the summer meal sites by accessing census tract and census block group data. On the left side, you will see icons. So here are the lovely icons and what they mean. The first one is the 3 lines, and you'll tell if it is yes or no. The second one is so you can draw on the map. The third one is for searching a location. And the fourth one is for instructions. And the fifth is for printing. This tool can be used to identify locations in area eligible for participation in other child nutrition programs. To be area eligible means that the summer site is located in a census block group, CBG, where 50% or more of the children in the area qualify for free or reduced price school lunches. So you will see that 101 Pleasant Street, Concord, New Hampshire is not, because it is blue. If it was yes, then it would be in pink. see the box, it says no. So right in this area where this blue arrow is, it does tell you for FY 2020 area eligibility, no. And I did not change these slides from last year, so it's possible that it's yes this year, you just don't know. So, and it's true, because the year before when I did this, the 2019, it wasn't pink. So if it was one of your sites, you should have documented it from the last year. However, how many years is it good for? 5 years. Do you want to check this mapper every year? Yes. And why? This would bring out the 5 years even further. So again, if I had done this in 2019, had the printout, it was pink, then I would be good for the next 5 years. If I do it now in 2020, see it's blue, well then I'm going to rely on the 2019. But say now it's 2022 and you look up an address and it's now pink again, scrap the previous years, now you start your 5 year again. Hope that makes sense. So rural designation. This tool is to determine if a proposed site may be designated as a rural site for the purpose of the summer program. This is on the SFSP application, so you need to use this tool. This shows that Concord is rural and the Manchester area is metro. So you can see Concord here, and then Manchester is in the pink or the purple. To use a map, enter the address of the proposed site in the find address or place box located at the right of the screen. So you'll see that I put Concord, New Hampshire in here. By pressing enter, the map will zoom into the location specified. If a location is colored purple, it indicates non-rural metro, and the area is located in an unshaded area, meaning not colored purple, indicates that it's rural. You will want to keep this documentation in your files. And again, when you're filling out your site applications, I am asking you, are your sites rural or metro? And this determines your claims. So you need to be able to make sure that you're in the right section. Okay, so the mobile Routemapper. This tool is primarily a routing tool for summer meal sponsors, vendors, and state agencies that overlays the capacity builder. Routing is especially important for less densely populated areas such as rural areas. Sponsors can identify potential summer sites for mobile feeding by identifying gaps in service in the neediest areas. Plan the most effective monitoring routes and find routes to local food vendors to create fresh local meals. In addition, self-prep central kitchens and vendors can find the best routes to deliver the meals to each summer site. So again, especially if you have multiple sites and you're trying to, serve, 3 lunches within, an area, you want to be able to do the best driving for your staff, especially with gas prices right now. So the capacity builder, it's allows users to visually see the layers of information such as underserved areas and identified locations for new sites. Users can find their nearest potential community partners such as a multifamily housing units, libraries, faith-based institution, military bases, schools, and more. It also helps you evaluate the previous summer's performance, as well as identify areas where there's a gap in the summer meal access, and helps identify opportunities for expansion. The link is provided to you on the slide, and the next screen is going to show us a detailed one. So I just want to show here that I picked up, I chose SFSP FY20 eligibility and summer sites 2019. So it's showing me, where the sites are and locations. So let's go to the next slide. So on the left, I checked off the summer meals, like I said. Then I typed in Manchester, New Hampshire, where you'll see this here. You'll see All the summer food sites that are in green circles and the libraries are in red. So right here, the little square boxes are libraries, and then there's little green circles throughout the map. So when you click on a library and then click on the forward button, the information box comes up. So right here, there was a library. So I clicked on it. Then I clicked on this arrow and it told me it was the West Side Community Library on North Main Street in Manchester. So I'm thinking, well, okay, we have a site nearby, or there is a site, but how close is it really? And would the library want to serve supper meals, or do they have a children's program where you can go in and at that time and be able to, hand meals out? A lot of libraries do it, and it's another way to keep their children engaged. So they might be very willing to do it. So you can also see if you click on one of the circles, the site name appears, what type of site, the address, the contact phone information, the sponsor's name, the start and end date, the days of operation, the times, the type of service, and there's a few more if you scroll down some more, such as county, date created, and season, such as 2020. All of the information that is on the mapper comes from your site application. So it's imperative that you provide all the correct data on your application. I would like to say that if you are opening a new site due to the area eligibility waiver, which we're not, does not extend into the next year. So anybody that opens sites through the area eligibility waiver last year, those sites are no longer area eligible unless you do the census data and it comes up new. So you just see where the boxes are. And this was Sweeney Park in Manchester. At this time, Henry Harris was person listed on the application. The sponsor is Southern New Hampshire Services. They start at 6:18 and they serve at 12 a.m., which I don't think is correct. Maybe this one didn't have the times incorrectly. The end date is 8:31. They serve Mondays through Friday. There were no comments. Oh, there's the dinner. Whoops, let me go back. So there's the time, 4:15. It's a supper meal. So this time up here must just be something to do with a full date and time. So it does show. So the No Kid Hungry Averaged Eligibility Mapper will show you if your summer meal site or daycare home is located in the area located based on USDA Food and Nutrition Service averaging policy. This is a great map. I can tell you back when I was a sponsor in the days, if we wanted to try to get a site to be approved, we had to do all this averaging by ourselves. It was our responsibility. This map is now taken over that responsibility and made it very easy for you to go in and do it. So to get started, you type the address of your summer meal site into the search bar at the top of the map. You look at the color, orange, blue, or gray, at the census block group, which is CBG, that your address is located on the map. Here, you would enter the address of the location where the meals will be served. So, put an address in. And I think, I used 40 Pine Street, Manchester. Address showed it was not eligible in the area eligibility. However, when you go to the average eligibility, it is. So it shows that the address in the blue, it makes it average eligible. So the site is right in here. And because it's average by the orange that's around it, it's making it average eligible. Remember, keep all your data and date it. And if you have a way of saving the screens to your computer, that's fine. It's just that when I come out, I'm going to have to be able to have either see the documents on your computer or I'm going to have to see them paper. So whatever way works for you guys. So are there any questions in this section? And while while you type those in, another fun activity for kids is, ask the kids to pretend like they're lifting or holding imaginary objects. They hold a block of ice. Are they shivering? Basket of tomatoes. Are they heavy? A hot potato. Are they juggling? So it's just a fun way to get the kids engaged and to use their imaginations. So before we go on, let me just check to see. So somebody asked, is it best to use the physical address of the site or zip code of towns we serve? It is best to use the physical address, because that's what I'm going to be reviewing, is that address of where the food is being served. So town, even if your whole town comes up as free, I would still need to see that address and that location showing up in pink or purple or whatever color it is. Looks like Jean just went in and said that address page not found. So I'll look into that. And then, yep.
Patty, it looks like Jeannie had found the link and put it in the chat afterwards.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so I guess, Kelly, we can.
Oh, it's actually Doris. She's using Jeannie's link. So hi, Doris.
There we go. She says hi. All right, Kelly, I guess we'll move on to serving low-income children.
All right, and I hope that you can hear me a little better on this, Patty.
So far, so good.
Okay, so serving low-income children. Sponsors must agree to provide regularly scheduled meal service for children in designated low-income areas, and they must agree to serve low-income children. Unlike open, restricted, let me try that again. Unlike open, restricted open, and closed enrolled site sponsors of both residential and non-residential camps do not have to establish area eligibility. However, they must collect and maintain individual free and reduced price school meal family applications. Camps are reimbursed only for those enrolled children who meet the free and reduced price eligibility standards. However, we have received a waiver for the area eligibility closed enrolled site for non-residential sites. So I'm just going to go into a little bit about that waiver that we have received. The state agency requested 4 waivers for the summer of 2022. The first being closed enrolled sites using area eligibility instead of the use of income eligibility applications. I must stress that this does not pertain to any closed enrolled residential camps. Just so everybody can hear that again. This does not pertain to any closed enrolled residential camps. Accordingly, FNS approves New Hampshire DOE request to waive the collection of income eligibility applications and allow closed enrolled sites to use data sources as outlined in the policy memorandum SFSP 03-2017, area eligibility in child nutrition programs, to verify that the site is located in an eligible area. This waiver is effective from May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2023. Please note that while this waiver extends through part of the 2022-2023 school year, during the year, SFSP operations are authorized only during unanticipated school year closures. This waiver is applicable to requirements at 42 USC 1761, and the program regulations at 7 CFR, USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender, which require closed enrolled sites to collect income eligibility applications to determine that 50% of children are eligible for free or reduced price meals. This does not apply to sites that meet the regulatory definition of a camp and receive reimbursement for 3 meals a day. Under this waiver, all closed enrolled sites using area eligibility will have to establish eligibility operation in 2022. This area eligibility determination will be effective for the duration of this waiver. Okay, so in front of you, you can see that this is the form that will need to be filled out and uploaded for your SFSP application attachments for 2022. The first week site visit waiver regulation requiring sponsors to conduct site visits during the first week of program operation for returning sites that operated successfully during the previous school year. For SFS, yes?
Let me stop you. Apparently, when we switched the slides, the notes didn't switch. So this is not first week, it's the closed enrolled waiver.
Okay.
So I apologize. So it's just, we'll go on to the next slide and it'll talk about the closed enrolled.
Okay. Sorry about that confusion. So closed enrolled sites versus day camp sites. A non-residential camp could potentially be approved as either a campsite or a closed enrolled site. As a campsite, it could serve 3 meals, but would need to collect income eligibility applications and only be reimbursed for those eligible children. As a closed enrolled site, it could only serve 2 meals, but would be reimbursed for all children. And they could use area eligibility for as long as the waiver was in effect.
So we're going to do another polling, but at first I want to answer a couple questions. What does a closed enrolled site mean? The reason they're calling it closed enrolled is, well, the difference between closed and open is an open site, any child can attend that site, can just walk on or walk into a school and get a meal during that time that you're serving. Some schools will stay as an open site because that way they can have, a lot of times the families will bring their other siblings to have meals with them as well. Open, so closed enrolled, the reason you would be closed enrolled, that is non-residential, is pretty much you're closed for for either safety reasons or for safety reasons or security reasons. So meaning you only have so much room for children to be in your area. So, you need to make it a closed enrolled site. So that's kind of the difference between the two of them. And I hope that answers that question. So let me put the next polling question up. So if I operate a closed enrolled site that does not meet area eligibility, and I have 60 children enrolled, how many parent income applications that meet income eligibility will need to be maintained to claim all the meals served? Good, and another few seconds here. All right, I think we're pretty close. So the ones that answered 30, you're correct. Closed enrolled non-residential sites must maintain a 50% eligibility rate. Therefore, 50% of 60 equals 30. So it's kind of a way to get that. And we'll move on. Kelly, can you please continue?
Yes. So academic summer school programs. We just wanted to touch upon this, that sometimes this is glazed over, so we just wanted to bring it to your attention. Schools offering academic summer school programs may be reimbursed for serving meals during the summer in 3 ways. Those are through National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program, the SFSP program, or the NSLP Seamless Summer Option, or SSO. Schools wishing to serve meals only to children enrolled in summer school programs may only receive reimbursement through NSLP and NSLP and SBP, which is the breakfast program. If, in addition to serving children enrolled in summer school, the school plans to serve children in the community at large, it may operate an open site through SFSP or SSO as described above. However, the SFA must ensure that these sites are open not only to children enrolled in summer school, but to any children residing in the area served by the site. Also, please note that we may not allow schools to provide summer meal programs to enroll in SFSP as a restricted open site instead of an open site, so that meals may be served only to summer school participants. This is not the intent of the restricted open site option, and it is unauthorized use of a site designation. The purpose of the restricted open site designation in SFSP is to allow sponsors that want to operate an open site to restrict or limit site participation due to these reasons: space, security, safety, or control. Does anybody have any questions on that? I know that can be a little confusing.
So I just want to say like one thing. So if you're a school and you have a school that's going to be doing, just summer program, or just I can't even think of the word, just going to have kids there for educational purposes, you can still do it under NSLP. It's called NSLP Continues. And what it does is you can continue through the summer because you're doing academic only, and you would claim free, reduced, and paid under your NSLP application. So you could do that for one of your schools if for some reason, you can't have it open. And then you can have your other programs under the summer food program. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. So just some information on the closed enrolled camps. They can be reimbursed up to 3 meal types a day. The accountability for those is by student name, and only those children that are income eligible can receive free meals. So now we will talk about conduct a nonprofit food service. Sponsors must conduct nonprofit food service. This does not mean that sponsors must break even or lose money. They just cannot make a profit through running the summer food program. Any money that exceeds the cost must be put back into the summer food program. Operation of a nonprofit food service includes food service operations that are principally for the benefit of children, and all program funds are used solely for the food service program. So now we'll talk about exercise management control over these sites. This management responsibility cannot be delegated below the sponsor level. The quality of the meal service, the conduct of the site personnel, and the adequacy of record keeping reflect directly upon the sponsor's performance. This performance is subject to review by state agency, USDA Office of the Inspector General, and the Government Accountability Office at any point in time.
Okay, so we're going to move on to conducting monitoring visits. So monitoring is the key link between the sponsor and the site personnel to ensure that the program functions properly. Just because you have trained them does not mean they will complete the task as needed. Monitoring includes pre-operational visits, site visits, and site reviews. The following slides will explain the differences. This link will bring you to the current sponsor monitoring handbook revised February 2017. So pre-operational visits. When a sponsor applies for the SFSP, the sponsor must certify that all required pre-operational site visits have been conducted. Sponsors must visit all new and problem sites before they begin operation. There's a separate sponsor monitoring guide that has a sample form for documenting each of these visits. You can find the form on page 22 of the handbook. You do not need to visit existing sites if they are in good standing, but it would be best practice to assure that the site is what you are expecting. You know, if you're doing parks and all of a sudden, you know, recreation decided that they're going to tear it up this summer, you kind of need to know that ahead of time. So pre-visits doesn't mean just actually going there, but, you know, checking out to make sure that everything is still the same. So it's just best practice. So the first week visits, this visit is to make sure your food service operation is running smoothly and to verify information such as the site address, storage, holding and preparation facilities, and serving capacity. You are required to visit all sites at least once during the first week of operation. However, we have received the approved waiver, and the waiver is it's your waived regular requirements at 7 CFR for sponsors to conduct site visits during the first week of the program or operation for returning sites, that operated successfully during the previous summer and had no serious deficient findings. My other best practice here for your first weeks is if you have new staff that's going out, not to say that you have to do a whole first week visit because it's, it's an existing system, site and it worked really well. But if they have new staff, then you may want to just go stop by and see if making sure everything is working correctly. Where did I just go? Okay. So again, the national waiver will rescind June 30th or the last day of school. But this is the form to be filled out and uploaded to the application if you're going to use the first week site visit waiver request. So if you're not going to do a first week at a certain site, I need to know where those sites are, and the reason that you're requesting the waiver pretty much is, the site is a current long-time site will be sufficient. So again, and if say you do these sites and send it in, but then decide to do a first week, that's fine too. But we need this waiver to be able to move forward. So now that you're approved for your application and your waiver, you'll receive an approval form from our office. And after the summer is completed, I'll be sending out a survey to you if you use the waiver, as USDA will need us to report on the following. We're gonna be asking a description on how the waiver impacted meal service operation, children's access to nutritious meals, and participation in the summer food service program. A description on how the waiver reduced paperwork necessary to administer the program. Summary of the findings associated with this waiver. You're also going to have to report on the compliance issues associated with the waiver during the application approvals and reviews, and report any findings and technical assistance provided. So when I approve your application, and if you have sent in waivers for request and I approve those, I will be sending you what I just read to you guys, so you can kind of be conscious of it, that you can fill in as you go along during the summer. Because I know, sometimes you're so busy and then you get to the end of summer going, I don't remember what I did there. So we will send you these ahead of time. So site visits. Oops. Click. Okay. You will have to observe delivery or preparation of meals, service of meals, and completion of the site meal count paperwork. Observe whether the site is taking appropriate steps to ensure food safety, checking temperatures of the foods received from the central kitchen or the foods they prepared on site. Need to know where and how foods are stored, and the temperatures are monitored. The site review needs to be completed for all sites. Forms can be found in the monitoring handbook. And does anyone have any questions before we move on? We are a nonprofit operating summer food. Can we serve summer food attendees for the school district? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Are you just saying you want to be an open site, or that you want to provide meals to the school district? So Keith, we can talk about it after, and I can get some more information from you, and we'll go from there. All right, I don't see any other questions. We have another polling. Oops, I should have stopped sharing that one. Only 2 more pollings. So we're going to launch it. A monitoring visit means that the monitor must stay during the complete meal service. Do you think this is a yes or a no? Give you a few more seconds. All right, so we have 69% say yes and 31 say no, 31%. However, and I was surprised by this, we are highly encouraged. The answer is no. However, we are highly encouraged that the sponsors stay for the entire meal service. It is during a review, the sponsor must stay for the complete meal service. So if you're doing, if you're doing a site visit, you're checking, are they doing the meal counts right, the temperatures, everything that I talked about before. However, if it's like 5-10 minutes left and, they're just waiting, to pack up and stuff, you do not have to stay for that. And I was surprised by that because I thought you had to stay. All right. So, stump for a recipe or a menu idea, go to the Institution of Child Nutrition and look for the recipe box. You'll find it under the Child Nutrition Resources. There are not too many for SFSP. However, they have school and CACFP recipes for ideas. So you can always go to the CACFP ones because they, serve a lot of the younger generations as well. So I just, Tuscan grilled cheese sandwich. And I know some of you, even if you had an open site, they had tomatoes and spinach and spices in there with the grilled cheese. You can make it ahead of time. You could serve grilled cheese cold. The kids will eat it. But what's nice about these recipes, it shows you the crediting information. The sandwich provides a 1/2 ounce equivalent meat alternative, an 1/8 of a dark green vegetable, just be vegetable for you guys, a 1/8 cup of red orange vegetable, and 2 ounces of equivalent grains. So you would know that would cover, your meal pattern for the age group. They also give you the recipe on how to make it. I just didn't put it in here. Come on. All right. So we're going to move on to viability, capability, and accountability. What does it mean to be VCA? The federal regulations require all participating institutes to be financially viable, administratively capable, and have controls for accountability. This is to make sure that the taxpayers' money is being used effectively for the purpose of the intent. So even though we're getting paid through the federal, it's our taxpayers' monies that's going to the feds to be able to turn around and then be able to reimburse these programs. So sponsors already participating in the program must continue to be viable, capable, and accountable. The state agency will monitor the viability, the capability, and accountability by requesting updates on program operations and conducting administrative reviews. Yes, administrative reviews are back this summer. Institutions that do not demonstrate viability, capability, and accountability may be subject to financial penalties or termination from the summer food program. So organizations must demonstrate financial and administrative capability. Does the institution have adequate financial resources to maintain operations, even if there's a disruption in normal income or delay in the summer food reimbursement? You should be able to document your institution's financial viability through audit reports and financial statements. Each sponsor must show the state agency that they are capable of running a program that adheres to federal regulations. Administrative capabilities means that the institute has enough qualified staff members to meet all SFSP requirements. Also, the institution has a management procedure in place to ensure that the program requirements are met. Accountability, it means that the institution follows sound management and accountable practices. The systems must be in place to ensure fiscal integrity and to prevent improper financial activities. In addition, nonprofit organizations must have independent board of directors that has the power to replace the executive director. The categories will be explained in the following slides. So financial and administrative capability. Within the application process, sponsors will provide a budget for the summer food service program. The budget should realistically cover all costs. If the costs exceed the revenue from the meal reimbursement, then the sponsor must accept the financial risk. the buck stops with the sponsor. The sponsor is accepting all financial and administrative responsibilities for all of these sites. The only ones that do not have to provide a budget is the schools, because the schools already have provided that and are an existing program. Allowable costs are necessary and reasonable. A normal allowable expense that was either not necessary by buying 10 cases of canned peaches when you already had 20 cases in stock, nor reasonable paying $100 for something that would normally cost $10 per case, would become an unallowable cost. Allowable costs must be either direct or indirect cost. Direct costs are not only necessary and reasonable, but also allocable to the program. Labor to prepare and deliver meals and purchasing food and supplies are obviously costs that can be allocated directly to the program. Indirect costs are also necessary and reasonable, but may be split among multiple programs. Only a prorated portion would be charged to the program. Utilities could be either direct or indirect, but they can't be both at the same time. Unallowable cost may be incurred, but cannot be covered by using federal funding. Unallowable cost can be unnecessary and unreasonable. So again, unallowable costs cannot be, you cannot use federal funding for your unallowable cost. For example, a 100-pound sack of flour could be a reasonable necessary cost if the flour is being used to make meals. If the flour is purchased for art activities, then this is an unallowable cost to the meals program. Or if the flour is purchased at an unreasonable dollar amount, even if it is used to make meals, the unreasonable price would make the cost unallowable. Now, again, we all know that prices are really on the high rise, the high rise right now, and we will take that into consideration. But that's when your procurement is going to come into play, and you're going to really try to find the best prices that you can. So talking about procurement. Procurement is a purchase of anything, goods or services. Also, procurement is a process. It's not just an event. 2 CFR 200 is now in effect and covers purchases made for all meal programs, child nutrition programs. So these are the steps for procurement process. When we are reviewing your program, we'll be asking to see your procurement policy and procedure and your code of conduct policy and procedure. If you don't have one, then one will need to be created. If you're in a larger agency or you're in your schools, they have them and you have to follow them. So, but if you are just a sole, camp, then this will have to be developed on how you are purchasing things. And most of you already have them. So what are the good principles, procurement principles? Everyone who is interested should have the privilege of working with you. Making sure that you keep to good procurement principles will help that to happen. So you have fair and open competition. Writing specifics that are not so restrictive that only one vendor can respond. Fairness and integrity, awarding the contract or making the purchase using the criteria that you said that you would use. Responsive and responsible contractors, looking at the bids or proposals and identifying the responses as responsive or non-responsive, or vendors who can give you what you've asked for in the way that you want it, and vendors who can't. Manage your contract to be able to identify responsible or non-responsible vendors, or vendors who followed through on the promise, or even vendors who could not demonstrate in their bid that they could handle your business. Transparency. Be transparent in everything that you do. Your purchases should be in an open book. There is nothing you should do that you wouldn't mind your mother knowing about. So remember, if you have a contractor managing your meals program or providing vended meals to you, the contract for the services must be approved by this, must be reviewed by the state agency before you start serving. Failure to having a contract reviewed by the state agency prior to the service will result in not being able to claim served meals. So while you're not to arbitrarily splitting up your purchases so that they fall under either micro or small purchase thresholds, you may word your specifications in such a way that will tell vendors that you are willing to award the purchase to multiple vendors, accepting smaller quantities for smaller enterprises. For further clarification on this, use the link that we provided to you guys. 2 CFR 200 requires that steps be taken to ensure that all vendors have the opportunity to sell to you. Each food service sponsor must have a code of conduct and a written procurement procedure. That include what the steps are that you will be taking to ensure this. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? It does not look like we have any at that time. So we're either doing really good or you guys are going to think about them after and email us, which is fine too. So the USDA Summer Food Service Program Toolkit, I wanted to go over this. The Summer Meal Program relies on innovation and collaboration to reach children who need good nutrition when school is out of session. This toolkit gives state administrators, program operators, and community partners creative ideas and resources to make summer meal planning easy, raise awareness, overcome barriers, and serve nutrition foods that is appealing to children. This toolkit is great because it's a USDA toolkit, and it's already people who have already gone through a lot of this and have developed this. So I'm just going to touch upon a few of these. So the hosting and the recruiting site has information on hosting an event. You know, say you want to have a startup event, it gives you ideas of what to do. First book. This is something on the line that you can sign up for and get books. So you could read at the sites or maybe give books out. Intergenerational meals. So it has stuff on different meals. A mobile meal delivery. Do you have access to a food truck? Nutrition educational activities. Reaching rural areas. School outreach. Site recruitment strategies. Reaching teens. Transportation challenges. Reaching tribal youth. Reaching unserved and underserved areas, and tips for target growth. That's all just under hosting and recruiting sites. And you can go to the website, click on one of these. It has great ideas. And some of this is where I'm starting to get a lot of my ideas to be able to start promote and get more kids fed. So another one was the nutritious meals. They have congregate meals, family style meals, leftover meals, what to do with them, meal pattern requirements, meal service options, menu planning, reimbursable meals, healthy summer meals. They have sample menus. You know, under raising awareness, they have answers for parents, answers for potential operations, news releases, pitch a story, promoting the site, public service announcements, sample letter to school food service directors, sample letter to schools, principals, social media, state elected leaders, state superintendents, sample letters to tribal leaders. So there's just so many ideas that you can go to on the website and, you know, just push through. Let's make this, you know, one of the biggest years we can possibly have. The past 2 years, you know, they've been big because you've been serving all meals free, but which you'll continue to do, but only through area eligibility and not the waiver, the national waiver of the area eligibility. So it would be great to be able to get the word out to the families to let them know what's going on. So I think right now we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to stretch our legs. I'm going to put the whole chat. Well, no, I'll wait till the end and I'll put the chat in then. I was going to put the links in the chat again, but I'll wait till the end. So, but this is where, this is very easy to get to. And you don't even have to have the link. You could just put USDA SFSP Summer Meals Toolkit in Google and it'll come up. So we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at, time is it 10:36? So we'll be back at, 10:46. So let's all get back. And I can tell you that we probably will be done before 1 o'clock. So we're on a good roll. So this is where the USDA link to find summer meals for kids. This is where you would post to USDA all open sites. Again, make sure your application reflects the correct information, as that is what I obtained for the information. We will have a form that will need to be filled out for all open sites. So if parents are asking, where they can go to find sites within New Hampshire, they can go to this website, and whatever information I send to USDA regarding all the open sites, this is where they'll find them. We've also partnered with UNH Cooperative Extension, New Hampshire Food Access Map as well. Excuse me. The map is a central source for those needing food and those looking to donate or volunteer in their community. We will be working with UNH Cooperative Extension to add summer food sites to this map to assist families in finding where they can get meals for children 18 and under. UNH Cooperative Extension is currently adding fields to their survey page to include questions regarding the summer food meals program. And when Cooperative Extension has added the SFSP questions, we will ask you to complete the survey online and put your site information into the mapper. This is just another way that we can provide families of New Hampshire locations of meals being served through the summer food program. And this is the link. Typically what I do is the same Excel sheet that I send to USDA to upload the open sites. I also send to UNH and they put that right in so that we don't have to go through the survey part. So this is just a snippet of their site. You can see that if you click on links to bring you to pick up food, pick up non-perishable food, pick up prepared food, we're thinking that the SFSP will go here. Someone can go in and click on it on a dot and it'll tell you where the location is of a summer food site, and that that they have to stay at that location. They can't just pick up the meals this year. So, so you can see from last time, there are a lot of dots. What's really nice about this map is it has farmers markets on here. It has farms that sell stuff. So it's another great resource to be able to give to families if you want. So just know that it's out there. So now we're going to talk about the SFSP meal pattern requirements. And here's the link, on the slide to the nutrition guide. So the meal pattern requirements for reimbursable meals. It is important for the success of the summer food program to serve nutritious meals that meet the meal pattern requirements and that are appetizing to children. Careful menu planning is necessary to meet this goal. The meal pattern outline the required food of components and their minimal serving sizes in order for the meal to be eligible for reimbursement. A food component is one of the food groups that comprises of a reimbursable meal: milk, grains and breads, vegetables and or fruits, meat and meat alternatives. The meal pattern chart is on page 11 of the 2018 nutrition guidelines. The following slides are about the meal patterns. The seamless summer option and the schools sponsoring opting for offer versus serve continue to follow the NSLP meal patterns, just like they're doing during their school. So this is the meal pattern only for summer food. If you're doing SSO or NSLP, you continue with those meal patterns. However, the next slide will go over the waiver. Sponsors may serve 1 or 2 meals a day at open, restricted, open, and enrolled sites. Sponsors may choose which combination of meals they would like to serve. However, serving lunch and supper on the same day is not allowed. Residential camps may serve up to 3 meals a day each. If you plan on feeding infants at your SFSP, then you need to contact the state agency prior to doing so. So the offer versus serve flexibility ends again on 6/30/22, or the last day of school. The offer versus serve is for schools operating SFSP sponsors that are required to apply for offer versus serve, and the rules followed for NSLP. So we're going to move on. So if you choose offer versus serve, then these are the parameters that you will need to meet. For SFSP office versus serve meal service parameters for breakfast, the following 4 food items must be offered. So a serving of fruit and vegetable, a serving of a bread alternative, a serving of fluid milk, and 1 additional serving of fruit, vegetable, bread alternative, or a serving of a meat alternative. All the food items offered must be different from each other. A child must take at least 3 of any of the 4 items offered and may choose to take all 4 items. So for lunch or supper, the following 4 food components must be offered through at least 5 of the different food items. So 1 serving of meat alternative, 2 servings of fruit, roots, and vegetables, 2 different types of food items, 1 serving of bread alternative, and 1 serving of fluid milk. Remember, milk is always its own component or item. A child may take at least 3 food components and may choose to take all 5. So you're going to see more offer versus serve, like at camps, and some schools maybe, if they have the kids go down to the caf to pick up the stuff, but pretty much everybody else will be served because you're serving in lunch bags. So if you're going to do the offer versus serve, you need to fill out this form, and again, attach it to your application. And then we'll email you and let you know that you're approved. So if you're not, then you don't need this. Again, it's going to be the same questions at the end of the year that I'm going to send you as well. So just so you know all of that. So the breakfast meal pattern. When you are a serve site, you must serve food items from all 3 required food components for breakfast. For offer versus serve, you must offer 4 food items, 1 serving of fruit, vegetable, 1 serving of grains, 1 serving of milk, and then 1 additional serving of fruit, vegetable, or grains or meat alternative. All food items offered must be different from each other. Children must take at least 3 of any of the 4 offered. Remember to offer healthy foods that will fall within the different components. In addition, purchasing local food or growing your own food in the summer garden is a great way to market your program and to add fresh produce and product into your menu. Talk with local farmers. Tell them about your program. See if they can help you out in any way. You can even tell the families which farm. Let me start that one again. You can even tell the families which farms were used for the meals for the children. So you could always put something, a poster up or whatever, and say, this product in this bag today was, grown here, or given to us here. So the one little red note down here says, no, bacon is not considered a meat alternative. So just be aware of that because it does happen. So lunch or supper meal pattern. Again, if you are a serve site, you must serve the food items from all 4 food components: milk, veggie and fruit, 2 different types to equal 3/4 of a cup, grain breads, and meat alternative. If you are doing offer versus serve, 4 food components with at least a minimum serving size must be offered. 5 different food items. Children must take at least 3 of the food components. Consider serving fresh local product with some of the components on your menu. Again, this is a great marketing tool for your program and gets the kids excited about what they're eating. And either they grew it or it was from a local farm. I know, just to give kudos to Copper Cannon way up north, he's had a garden that he was able to put in for his camp, and he grows many of the vegetables for the camp for them to eat locally, and the kids that are attending the camp also help manage the garden as well. So it gives them that full round that, you know, they're growing it, they're picking it, and now they're eating it. So it's pretty cool. The snack meal pattern. Most of you do not do this, but you cannot do offer versus serve for snack. You must serve 2 of the 4 food components. And milk and juice is not considered a snack for reimbursement. So just you know, remember that you're not going to have 2 liquids for a snack. So I'll have Kelly talk about some food safety.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me okay better now that I have my headset on. So food safety. It's important to remember that calibrated thermometers should be used to take the temperature of foods. If thermometers are not calibrated regularly, accurate temperatures cannot be assured. Please refer to the nutrition guidelines for sponsors on page 78. You can see here the picture of a thermometer that you would use to calibrate. A thermometer that is calibrated needs to be in ice water. It cannot go in the refrigerator to be calibrated, although you might think that might work, it does not. So make sure that you are following those guidelines for calibration of your thermometers. That's very important for our food safety. Avoid holding foods in the temperature danger zone. Keep cold meals and milk not being served at the time in refrigerator or coolers at the temperature of 40 degrees or below. Hot meals should be in a warming unit or insulated box at a holding temperature of 130 degrees or more. Another important thing to keep, and that are a must, are temperature logs. Temperature logs only need to be kept for 6 months. Everything else needs to be kept for 3 plus the current year. Some important food safety and kitchen rules. If the temperature outside is 90 degrees or higher, such as during the summer months, illness-causing bacteria can start to grow in just 1 hour. It is important to have a date marking system in place. Date marking is a way to control the growth of Listeria, a bacteria that grows in refrigeration temperatures. Bacteria can grow rapidly between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 135 Fahrenheit, otherwise known as the temperature danger zone. Avoid holding foods in this temperature danger zone. Do not hold a food in the temperature danger zone for longer than 2 hours. After 2 hours, discard the food. Keep meals and milk not being served at the time in a refrigerator, just to reiterate, in a refrigerator or cooler at a temperature of 40 degrees below. Again, hot meals should be kept in a warming unit, and that should be above 135 degrees or more. Remember that you cannot determine food safety by sight, taste, odor, or smell. If there is any doubt, throw it out. Train food service employees on safe food handling, on the safe use of all types of equipment, and on personal hygiene. Keep a fire extinguisher, first aid kit handy, and instruct all personnel on the proper use of those. Okay, so core messages in food safety. The 4 core messages that will help to keep your food safe to eat are clean, separate, cook, and chill. And we'll go over those in a little bit more depth. Clean, make sure that everything that touches food is clean. Wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and running water. More about hand washing in a later slide. And I think we can all agree with what we've gone through in the past 4 years. We should all be experts at washing our hands these days. Cough or sneeze into disposable tissues and then throw away. Separate, avoid cross-contamination, no bare hand contact with ready-to-eat food. Appropriate glove use, no magic glove. Cook, food is safely cooked when a food thermometer indicates that food has reached the minimum safe internal cooking temperature. Keep hot food hot after cooking to 140 degrees or above. Please remember to calibrate your thermometers on a regular basis. And chill, refrigerate perishable foods within 2 hours. Applicant thermometers help you to know if a refrigerator and or freezer are cold enough. Do not thaw at room temperature. Do not cool at room temperature. Remember to use the two-step cooling method and record. So this slide shows a food safety checklist. Some highlights are personal hygiene, and some things to keep in mind are clean clothes, very important, closed-toed shoes, hair restraints, and clean hands and clean body. Restrict or exclude sick staff, especially during the COVID health emergency pandemic. There is a difference between cleaning and sanitizing. Make sure that your staff is using sanitizer and labeling it, testing and recording the sanitizer strengths. As stated before, we should all be very well versed in hand washing. You can use the happy birthday song, which lasts for 20 seconds. For children, careful hand washing with soap and warm water for 20 seconds will reduce the risk of spreading pathogens. For younger children, frequent supervised hand washing with soap is particularly important. Children should always wash their hands before eating. Hand washing procedure. Wash hands thoroughly, paying special attention to the germs that may be trapped under nails and in crevices. Rinse well to remove all traces of soap. Dry hands with paper towel. Use a paper towel to turn on the faucet and after washing if you do not have an automatic faucet, and allow hands to dry thoroughly after cleansing before contact with anything. Children also tend to miss the tops and thumbs of their hands when washing, so pay proper attention to that. And this slide here is a great resource from ICN. This is one of the many handouts that we could provide to you, or you can log on to the ICN website and request this yourself. And Patty, this is on to application and claims.
Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff. So it's important that the SFSP sponsoring organizations adhere to the deadline dates set by the Office of Nutrition Programs and Services and USDA. It is the sponsor's responsibility to update the sponsor's application, site application, and the attachments annually. The state deadline for your sponsor application is Monday, it should say May 16th. So May 15th, May 16th. So by that Monday, I want everything in. We have set the date as May 15th for the state deadline. And I can't stress enough, failure to meet the deadlines will result in the sponsor not being able to participate in the program for the current year, no exceptions. So there are 2 steps that need to be completed in order for new users to have access to the New Hampshire online application claiming system. Step 1 is to create an account in the My NHDOE single sign-on system. And step 2, complete and submit the SFSP program authorization form, which can be found on the SFSP page of our website. And we've attached it with the attachment form. So it's in that area as well. Once both steps have been completed, users of the system will be linked to the online computer security for SFSP. So creating a user account in the My NHDOE single sign-on system, creating an account in the system, you have users of the system will log into the system using the link on the screen. Then click on the hyperlink, new user, create an account. So right where the red arrow is going. The user will be asked a series of questions to create a username and a user password. The state agency will not have access to the user's information because of this. If the user forgets their user information, they are to click on the hyperlink, forgot username and password, and follow the steps to reset the information. I encourage you to make sure that you write down your username and your password. Because like I said, I can go into your account, but I can't see your usernames or your passwords. So that you need to make sure you have done. And please, please, please do not share your password and username with anybody. It is not that hard to create another account for somebody else if need be. So this is the program authorization form. We've updated a little bit. We've developed this form for all of our programs. So you'll want to go to our website. And it's in the summer food website too, as well as under the attachments. So you're gonna fill in all the information and make sure you check off the box. So first, you've gone and you've created an account, or you've had everybody that's new going to create an account. And then second, you're gonna fill this out. So SAU RA name, RA is typically run for summer food. So your camp name, your sponsor name, you know, the caps, just that's what we're looking for there. Or if you are a school, then you put there. Your SAU number / RA number, that's actually on your online application when you first log in. That number is there. We're asking for your address, your email, and your phone in case something I need to get a hold of you guys. Whoops. Then you've got the entry and the submit program authorization form for the annual application. So this first section right here is just for the applications. You can have two separate people or you can have the same person. But if you have the same person, when you go to log in, you're gonna have to log in as the application entry person, move the application forward, log out, and then log back in as the submit person. You're also gonna see that SFSP is here, this little red arrow, and you're gonna check off that that's what they're for, okay? Then we have the entry and submit program authorization for the monthly claims. So you have, again, the claim entry person who's going to put the initial data in, and then the claim submit person who is going to second check that data that the entry person put in. So that submit person is going to need that information that you have, such as the count sheets or a spreadsheet, whatever you're using to put the information in. And the submit person, a lot of things that we find is somebody missed a day. It's on the spreadsheet, but there's a day missing. You can just tell they went from the 20th to the 22nd. What happened to the 21st? Where did it rain? Did we not have anybody? That information you really want to check, because if it comes to the end of the summer and it's a June claim and it's now September, you're not going to be able to go back and claim those claims. Direct certification information and SAU verification summary, that does not need to be there. That's only for schools only, and it's only during the national school lunch school year period. Again, the claim entry and the claim submit have to be separate. Again, you're going to check off summer food. And then we've added, if any of your users are no longer active, so is anybody left that I can take off, that would help as well. And so that's pretty much our form. And on the form, it tells you where you can go for the website to be able to log on. And it does have an instruction page with it as well. So we'll move on from that. So the program authorization form, once the user has created an account and the single sign-on and has submitted it, you need a superintendent of schools or an executive director to sign these forms, giving you that permission that you're going to be entering that information for that agency. The user will be connected to the security system through me. So you're going to send these forms to me for now, and under the designated role identified on the authorization form. Users, again, are reminded that they are not allowed to share user ID and password information with anyone. If you have an employee that has left or is on vacation, give us a quick call or an email and we can guide you on what steps you'll need to take. So that's what we're here for. So what is a complete summer food application package? So what constitute a complete SFSP packet? There are several steps that need to be completed by the sponsoring organization in order to have a complete SFSP application packet. Please remember and make sure that all your documents are uploaded to the system. So you have the sponsor application, all selections are completed, all sections. The site applications, all sections are completed. The attachment documents, they're uploaded, all uploaded and pertinent documents, and we're going to go over those in a few. The budget is completed. Public schools do not need to do it unless it's a brand new school to summer food. Estimated operational cost is going to be under the budget. The estimated administrative costs will be under the budget. And the projected income to support your program. And then again, the application deadline is May 15. Oops, that should say 22. So I will change that. So the online sponsor application page, here we can see a sample of the sponsor page application. Some of the information will be rolled over from year to year, usually, the name and the address and all that. It is up to the sponsoring organization to make the necessary changes, if applicable, to ensure that the information is true and correct for the current operating year. Again, this information, a lot of it goes to that USDA, Kids for Meals finder and the UNH one. So you're going to want to make sure that the names are right, addresses are right, and et cetera. So the start date on the sponsor application is to correspond with the earliest start date of the participating site. And the end date on the sponsor application is to correspond with the latest date of the participating sites. The start date and the end date entered on the sponsor application and the site applications directly affect the claims. So this lovely arrow over here, the starting and end dates, please don't have January 1st. And you'll actually see dates there. And I think I put June 13th to September 15th or something like that. Don't leave those dates in there. Put your actual dates. So the site start date and end date, as an example on your sponsor page, if you look at all of the starting dates on the four sites, the earliest start date for all of the sites is 6/21/20. So that's this is the date that you would enter into your starting date on the sponsor application, that application that was previous. The latest ending date for all 4 sites listed on this slide is 9/2/20. This is the date that would be entered for the ending date of the sponsor application. If you look at the slide, I have an arrow to the 6/21 and to the 9/2. You do not want to put the dates of January or December or whatever dates I've put in. Oftentimes, the starting date and the ending date on the sponsor application does not reflect the actual dates. When entering the data on the sponsor organization application, please ensure that the start date and ending date are accurate. And the reason we are so strong on this is that when we do reporting to USDA, I have to do estimated reports and I do actual reports. If there's a December, somebody goes till December and they put, that they're operating till December 30th, I'm going to get estimated counts on a summer food report that goes to USDA, and we don't want to see that. So, just note that I kept the same dates. I didn't do a new screen, but, site A, site B, site D, put your sites in here. If you have just one single site or if you're just a CAM, then you don't have to worry about it. Your sponsor page dates will match your starting dates of the site. But when you have multiple sites, you want to look at what dates the earliest is starting and what's the latest that they're ending. So the site application, this is page 1, and you can see I put a blue arrow to that site application. As with the sponsor application, some of the data that appears on the site applications will be rolled over from year to year. It is up to the sponsor to ensure that the information listed on the site application is true and correct. Again, this information doesn't just stay, in our system. It is used for other data as well. This information is also could be used by USDA or the state agency to show up for unannounced visits. So, which has happened. The state agency has shown up for unannounced visits, and USDA 1 year they did about 6 unannounced visits and just showed up at sites, and they're going by this information because this is what I'm giving them. Another important thing is if you are having field trips and you are bringing meals on those field trips that you're going to claim, we need to know that date. That's the only way you can claim that. There is a field trip section. If your field trip changes, you need to amend your application at least 48 hours ahead of time. If it's canceled for rain, send me a quick email. This was on our application. We're not going now because, we're expecting a tornado. Anyways, I probably wouldn't go out in the rain, but you never know what, USDA, they still may. We do have USDA people that live up in New Hampshire. So, they have no problem to travel to different sites. I may have to fit in a site visit, and the only time I can go and there's a field trip. I might show up at that field trip to see how you guys are doing. If you're not going to claim the meals, I still need you to put in there that you're having a field trip because I don't want to show up your place and you're not there. But you can put in the comment section or the remark section on that page. And right here, there's a remark section. I mean, use it. This is what it's here for. And say, no meals, will be served because we're getting meals at the site, or will be claimed. Just give us as much information as you possibly can. And that's what we're asking for. So if you're adding a new site, you'll need to let me know so I can initially put it into the system, because I need to put it into the system and actually connect it to your application. There's the enrollment type. It's either enrolled or open. Program type is either homeless shelter, non-residential camp, school, or upward bound. Qualification is how the site was qualified. Area eligibility, census data, income application, collected, other information. Please don't use this one. Restricted school data and school data. So if you're doing, if you're using any of the schools, it's going to ask you to list the school here. So if you have any questions, give me a call or send me an email. I can help you through it. It's no problem. All right, so this is the enclosed enrolled waiver that was allowed for area eligibility for nationwide. This is not going to happen. It's going to end June 30th and it'll go to the last day of the school. So closed enrolls extended area eligibility to closed enroll sites. This is the one that I just applied for, and we are still waiting. This is the only one I have not received the approval for, but I'm expecting it every day, any day now. Pretty sure it's this one, but I'll let you know if there's an issue. This is to allow sponsors to operate closed enroll sites in areas where at least 50% of the children are area eligible for free and reduced price meals through the National School Lunch Program. This does not pertain to residential camps. Closed enroll sites are established for a specific group of children who are enrolled in an organized activity program or who do not reside in an eligible low-income area. The site becomes eligible for SFSP if at least half of the enrolled children qualify for free and reduced price meals. Closed enroll sites, 7 CFR 225.2 definition is, a closed enroll site are usually established where an unidentified group of needy children live in a pocket of poverty, and unidentified low-income children are transported to a congregate meal site location in the area where less than 50% are less than 50% eligible children. And a program provides recreational, cultural, religious, or other types of organized activities for a specific group. These types of sites are open only to enrolled children or to an unidentified group of children. As to the community at large, can be determined through income of the individual or through the area eligibility through the waiver. I am sorry to say that, again, residential camps, this does not apply to you. You still have to do income applications. So the example information listed on this section of the site application directly affects the claim. The data entry must be accurate. Based on the example data entered, this site is only open 4 days a week. The site will not be able to claim for more than 16 days in a 4-week month or 20 days in a 5-week month. You will get an error on your claim that states, that you do not have enough days open for what you're trying to claim for. Claiming meals cannot exceed the cap for the month. So the cap is right here, which is set by the computer. If you notice that you have more children coming to the site, you'll need to ask for a waiver from the state agency to increase the cap. This often happens with open sites. Please make sure you request a cap waiver before you start the claim. New Hampshire has an approved waiver for the state regarding the time restrictions between the meals, but the meal times must be accurate on the application. You will need to put in the remarks what time you actually will be at the site. So there, you're serving breakfast, so it's 8:39, and then you're going to serve lunch 11:30 to 12 here. Well, there's only there's 3 hours between it, but so that would be fine. If you're serving at 8:30 and now your lunch is going to be at 11, you're only at 2.5 hours difference. This is what you're going to ask for a waiver for. It's the mealtime restrictions. And it's pretty much typical mealtime restrictions are 3 hours apart. So you go 8:30, 11:30, or say you're doing, lunch and a PM snack. They're supposed to typically be 3 hours apart. However, because we have the new waiver that's for this summer, we'll be able to continue and have it less than 3 hours apart. So the other type of service you're going to be careful of is, sack cold lunch. Again, this is where you're going to put that metro or rural. That's why you're going to need that mapper, whether it's indoor or outdoor. And then the prep type, whether it's kitchen or, if it's vended meal contract, then you're going to put the vendor here. And then if you're an outdoor site, will the meals be served, weather permitting, give an address. So if you're at a park, if there's weather, then you can answer no to this and move on. If there's yes, there's an overhang or there's a dugout or, that we can go into. That's the stuff we're looking for, because that way, again, if we show up, we know where you're at. All right. So again, this nationwide waiver ends June 30th, of the last day of school. And this is the waiver to request mealtime restrictions. And the same information that I just talked about, and the same information at the end of the year will be asked as well. So the site application service site data. When completing your site application, it's important that the service site data section is completed correctly, as this section directly affects the amount of reimbursement that your site has received. A designated of metro and vended meal by Food Service Management Company or SFA will result in a lower reimbursement amount for administrative reimbursement. All other combinations will result in a higher reimbursement. Must be pre-approved by the state agency prior to operation. So in short, data listed on the site application directly affects the claims. So these are the sections within your site application that we're asking for. And you're either cafeteria style, family style, or sack cold lunch. Most of you are cafeteria or sack. You're either self-prep, meaning you're on site, or you have you have a head start that's making the meals for all your open sites. That would be self-prep. Vended by Food Service Management Company. This means you actually went out for an RFP, which is a request for proposal to get a company to come in and provide you the meals. Or vended by a school food authority / I'm trying to think what else, something small. Then that's just a simple vendor meal contract, but you still have to do an RFP for that. So, and those RFPs and the contracts, you renew them every year, but I don't think you have to go out for RFP every year. Again, the Metro and the Royal selection, and the Metro selection receives lower rate, and the vendor meal receives the lower rate at the admin cost. And that's the two together. It's not one or the other. So now we're up to the attachment documents. Excuse me, along with the completion of the sponsor application and the related site applications, sponsoring organizations must upload completed attachments to support the application. Not all attachments will pertain to all SFSP sponsors. And this next slide will give us the rest of the attachments, but this is where the website, where the link is. Also, if you're in the application and you go to your attachment tab, that link is there as well, so you can click it there as well. So we have the application certification signature page. That's like a 7-page that needs to be done every year. Camp license, these are for residential camps that you're usually getting. Corrective action form procedures. Send me an example of it. We used to put the form that had like the 3 columns. I actually want to see your procedure, and I've put something new into this that you will see what I'm looking for. The free meal policy statement charging and the non-charging. This is if you're charging for meals. So if you are, which we don't have any at this time, but if you are literally, people are going to this camp and you're going to charge them extra for the meals, that means charging. Otherwise, you're doing the free meal policy statement non-charging. That needs to be on, uploaded to the attachments. Local health department letter. We give you an example. You need to send this to your local health department and let them know that you are running a program and making meals out of this kitchen for these areas. Not too many will show up, but it needs to be on hand. And I need to see that you have your sites listed for the town of the local. So if you're a sponsor of multiple towns or cities, then you're going to have different local health department letters, but I need the sites listed there on that letter, and I need to see it. So here we go. So we have meal counting and claiming worksheets for enrolled sites. Enrolled sites, usually you're putting the names of the children because they're enrolled, or you're doing a meal counting and claiming worksheet for open sites. The free and reduced price school meals family application. So those are for your non-residential, your residential camps. The parent letter needs to be placed on your letterhead. The permanent agreement with the state agency. It says updated for 2017, but I am asking you for a new one for this year. Public news release for enrolled sites and camps. So if you're one of those, you're going to send me a copy of what you sent, and I want to know where it was sent to. It was sent to, the union leader. It was sent to this school. It was sent to this library. It was sent, let me know where these are sent. Public news release for all your open sites. Again, where you've sent them. A site closure procedure. You should have a procedure on how to close a site. If you have a site that all of a sudden you have to close because of, I hate to say it, but you're at a park and there's been some shootings. It's not safe for you to go to there anymore. Then what's your procedure to close that procedure? Who do you notify? How do you do it? I need to see how you would handle that. Site monitoring schedule. When are you monitoring? Are you doing pre-visits, first visits? Are you using the first visit waiver? Then you'll probably say, waiver. And then you're just doing the site, the 4-week one. Training schedule. I need to know that you've been trained through here. Need to know who you will be training. You may not have hired people yet. So you can put, the cook and the delivery man and the packers, and you can put stuff like that. That just shows me that you have a training set up, and you should have it hopefully scheduled. The upward bound letter, that's for colleges only. So they know what they're doing with that. So this year I developed a checklist. The 50% area eligibility that we usually put up there for the schools, we're waiting on USDA guidance. I do not know if we can go back to 19s and use that for a current new person. So If you were existing in 19 and you used it, well, then you would have that documentation. So again, it lists everything, but I've also put, complete if this is your first, fiscal, if you're using this for this fiscal year. So these are all the waivers. The eligibility log, list your sites and how they're eligible to participate with data. I need that from everybody, whether you're a park, whether you're a sponsor of many, whether you're a camp, that would be, and this again, it's right on that link of attachments. So you can go and open it up. It's on the website too, because that link is the same as our website. You can go open it up, print it out, check them off as you're going, cross out what you don't need. If you're, a meal policy statement for not charging, then cross this one off. You don't need to put that statement on. I've got the guidelines on there for 21, 22. For those that have to do the parent applications. I need I need a description or a procedure on how you consolidate your counts. So, we take the point of service count sheet for open sites and we make a total, and then we give that to the accountant, and then the accountant double checks the numbers and make sure it's all signed and dated. And, that's your description. I don't want these full policies and procedures. I just need to know that you understand how counting for claims should be done. So that's what we need to see. Again, the mail service time waivers there, your monitoring schedule. I will be checking every site against that monitoring schedule to see if you missed any. And sometimes I'll ask for it and say, oh no, you missed it. That's okay. The news public release. So again, filled in and attached. The parent applications, if you're using them, then these are the ones you don't need to upload them, but these are the ones you should be using. So especially this one, that's the application. Permanent agreement, again, I'm gonna upload it for this year. Next year, I might be able to say, don't need to upload. The rates, those are for your use. That will help with your budgeting. The health letter, you must send it to the health department. And I put here that you don't need to upload it. However, you need to keep it for your records. So that's another thing you don't have to upload. Signature page, that's going to need to be uploaded. Site determination log, that's an Excel sheet that you'll be uploading. Your training schedule, fill out and upload, and then the upward bounds. So these are the things. And I recommend that if you're a continuing sponsor, you should already have these in your computer that you can use as reference, because some of these you'll have to, some of these have date changes, so you'll have to use a new one. But your procedures and all that, you should have them there. That way you easily upload them every year. So hopefully this checklist will help. If you think I need to change this in any way, or if you have any suggestions or comments, please don't hesitate to let me know. This is the first year that I'm using this for summer food. I have used this for CACFP. It seems to work well, so we're going to try it out for this year. So this is somewhat of a new form, and this is the one that we need to fill out every year. That's the determination form that I asked you to upload. You're going to do your site by name. You're going to list whether you're open or closed. You're going to list rural or metro, whether you're self-prep, whatever you put on that site application, you're going to list here. I need it so I can be able to send it to USDA. It was a result of our USDA management evaluation, because yes, we get audited as well. And this is something they had us develop. And this is something that we need to do every year. So again, if you have it from last year, you're just editing it, and you're just going through it. So have a summer food service booklet, or, that you have separated each section. So say you leave, say you win Megabucks and see you later. So another person can come in and know what these are, what these forms are. So it's just some helpful suggestions, best practices. Targeting teens. This is always hard thing to get teens to come to sites. One suggestion is using social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You use hashtags. I would not know how to do that, but you can Google it. No, they'll let you know how to do it. There's a link to get more information on to be able to help you with getting some ideas to get the teens to come to your sites. Target the do a teen night to let them know what this actually is, so they don't feel like it's so hard with their peers. But if you say you're going to be doing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have a teen night and come for supper prior. You can do that if you're in that eligibility of it. So think outside the box. And if anybody has some great ideas to get teens in, let us know and we'll share them with everybody else. So now the sponsor application budget. You need to pay particular attention to this budget because we're going to review your budget to see if the information entered will sustain a viable summer food service program operation. Budgets are not needed for schools currently under the SFSP agreement with the state agency. So this data entered into this section of the sponsor application only reflects what you will utilize for the summer food service program for all sites under the sponsor. If you're a sponsor of multiple programs, such as child and adult summer food, you would only enter the budget information only for the summer food program. So you're going to go in here and what's your estimated operational cost for food, for labor? If you're not paying labor out of the summer food reimbursement amount, then don't put it in here. Non-food supplies, your paper products, all that kind of stuff. Utilities. Do you have to pay for lights? Do you have to pay for electricity? Is there indirect cost? A kitchen or a truck rental? Are you renting a kitchen and you have to pay for that? Equipment rental. I can't think of what you would rent by equipment, but maybe a truck and you would specify what the other is. And then this is the estimated of administrative costs. So what the administrative salaries are, what the rent of the office space is. So you have a warehouse. Do you have to pay for that, or is there a percentage of that? Utilities, office supplies. And these are only office supplies. This is only pertaining to summer food. We don't want to see that you're buying, 2 boxes of paper, for the office. You might buy 20 pens if you have 20 sites because you need people to check off things. So that could be an office supply. Audit fees, if applicable. Transportation, again, mileage can be put in here. Telephone postage. This is here, but if you're not going to use summer food funds for it, don't put it in. I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, just by all means ask us. It's not a problem. So these are the updated 2022 reimbursement rates. The lower admin costs will be applied to those that are designated metro and vended sites. Please note that the meal reimbursement is not expected to cover all your operating costs. So you have to have another source of cost. And this slide talks about advanced payments. Pretty much nobody takes up, but if you have any questions, by all means, let us know. And then the claims for the reimbursements. Before you can submit a claim, you must have an approved application. All claims should be entered by the 10th of the following month. As stated, there must be 2 individuals for claims. What are they? Claims for reimbursement must be entered and submitted by the 10th of the month. Claims require 2 separate individuals, the entry person and the submit person. it's imperative that the sponsors submit their claims to the state agency by the deadline dates. Failure to submit original claims or claim revisions by the 60th day following the claiming month will result in a corrective action if you don't have one already. Payments will not be made until a corrective action plan has been approved by the state agency. Sponsors will be under corrective action for a period of 3 years, 36 months. Subsequent late claims during this 3-year period will not be paid by the state agency. So this is very imperative. Like I said, we request by the 10th of the following month for claims to come in. However, the USDA is by the 60th day. We're hoping that you're not doing that, especially with summer food. Claim for each month. Claim June, claim July, and claim August. This is the actual citation. So per USDA, a final claim for the sponsoring organization must be made within the 60-day time period. Failure to submit a claim or claim revision by the 60th day of the time frame may result in a non-reimbursement. Again, in order for the sponsoring organization to be reimbursed for a late claim or a late claim revision, doesn't mean just a full claim. Even if you're doing a claim revision, the sponsoring organization must complete a corrective action plan to be paid. The cap will then be submitted to the state agency for approval. If the cap for the late claim or the late claim revision is approved by the state agency, the sponsoring organization will be placed on a one-time exception list with a period again of 3 years, 36 months. If the sponsoring organization should have another late claim, again, they won't be able to. Any claims past 90 days will not be allowed at all. The US deadline for reimbursement claims is the 60 days after the end of the claiming month. However, New Hampshire State Agency has chosen a more strict deadline for the submission of the claims by the 10th of the following month. Sponsor and site claims must be dated, entered, and submitted monthly by the specific deadline dates, which again is the 10th of the following month. First meals served to eligible children 18 years and under, and persons over 18 years who are determined by the state educational agency or a local public agency, educational agency of a state to be a mentally or physically handicapped, and who participates in public or nonprofit private school program established for the mental or physically handicapped. Second, meals represent only meals served. Second, meals served cannot exceed 2% of the meals served. There is no rounding up for the second meal counts. Be supported with the appropriate document. A second meal means it's a complete full meal, has all the same components that the first meal had. If they're coming up for seconds and only of one thing, it is not a second meal and you cannot claim it. So you will need a checkoff sheet for second full meals. You cannot just estimate that you've got 30 kids and 2% of the 30 came up for second meals. We need to see that documentation. So again, this is the actual citation. I'm not going to read it at this time. And the sponsor and site claims must be data entered and submitted monthly by the specific deadlines, which is the 10th of the following month. So where is this going? Okay, our last polling question. Meal counts. Should the person taking the meal counts be at the beginning of the serving line? What do you think? Yes or no? Well, that was quick on some of you guys. Give you a few more seconds. All right. So the answer is no. Did I share that? Share the results. Okay. And the reason is the site staff should be trained to take meal counts at the end of the serving line so they may ensure a child has taken all of the components of the reimbursable meal. Now, your serving line can consist of 2 people. So you have your person handing them the meal, such as a bag meal, and then the end of it is the person taking or checking off that a meal was taken. So, or it could be a cafeteria style, or it could be in a camp. So that serving person needs to be at the end of the serving line to be able to check those off. I do have some camps that do it by table. That is okay, but it's not best practice. They really, unless you're serving at the table. If you're serving at the table, then yes, that's where your end is. So think of it in that perspective. So the 60-day calendar, again, these are the days that the last day you could possibly get a claim in. So if we're looking at June, August 29th, July, September, and August would be October. Again, the claim submission for our dates, if it's a January claim, you're claiming them by the 10th of February. I always recommend that whoever is doing your claiming that you print out these dates so you have them. And I am sorry, Kelly, but I took your slide. So
You did take my slide, Patty.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay.
I'm just on a roll. So yeah, so we're good with the claiming, submission of claims. So I will let Kelly take it on from here.
Sure. Thank you, Patty. I know that was a lot of information that Patty just went over. So please remember to, as we move along, put your questions and comments in the chat, and we will try and go through them as we're speaking here too. And just to go back to the 60-day calendar for claims, this is something that we have found in dealing with NSLP. We've kind of found a gap in. So it's just something that we wanted to highlight and bring up again to make sure that when you are submitting, if you're the data entry or if you're the claim submit person, to make sure that the lines of communication are open. It's 2 different people putting the claims in, and we want to make sure that you get your reimbursement money. But it's a 2-step process. So keeping those lines of communication open, as the data entry person, if you put in your claim, just send an email to whoever your submit person is, just as a little reminder. We know that there's a great deal of turnover right now going on in districts, so we just want to make sure that all of the boxes are checked when it comes to putting in the claims in an appropriate time and manner for the claim submission. Okay. Claim warnings and errors. So when a claim has warnings, the claim submit person must validate the numbers entered into the claim are correct. If there is a discrepancy, the claim will be returned to the data entry for revision and resubmission through the online claiming system to the state agency for approval. So as you can see from the slide, the warning and errors, it will alert you, and you will need to put in a reasoning for that discrepancy if it cannot be fixed. And errors, when a claim has errors, the errors must be fixed in order for the claim to be reimbursed. In this example, we can see that the number of second meals for breakfast and lunch exceeds the 2% of the first meals served. Breakfast, 285 times the 2% equals 5.7. Sponsors can only receive reimbursement on 5 second meals served. You must always round down. And for lunch, 786 times the 2% equals 15.72. Sponsors can only receive reimbursement on 15 second meals served. Again, you must round down. Also, you must have the paperwork to support your second meals that you have served. Okay. Disregard and allowances. So, disregard claims. For any fiscal year, the state agency conducting audits or management evaluations may disregard any overpayment which does not exceed $100. Any overpayment in excess of the threshold, or when three is substantial evidence of the violation of criminal law, civil fraud statutes will not be disregarded. When there are unpaid claims for the same fiscal year, the overpayment can be deducted from the future positive claims within the same fiscal year. When there are unpaid claims for a different fiscal year, the sponsor must submit a check to the amount of the overpayment back to the state agency. And now we will go over the appeal procedure. For the complete appeal procedures for New Hampshire, the link is listed here, and I believe that we will also have that available in the chat. The sponsors can appeal financial amount, but not the actual finding from the SFSP review.
Oh, it's back to me.
Hey.
So all potential new sponsors must provide documentation that they are financially viable to participate in the summer food program. Financial documents that will be requested during the application process will include a minimal additional information, may also be requested, but at a minimum, a balance sheet utilizing an accrual or modifying accrual accounting principle for the most current month end, bank statement, same month as the balance sheet, the income statement, profit and loss statement for 12 months, ending in the same month as the balance sheet. If potential new sponsor is nonprofit agency, a copy of the last submitted 990 form, and nonprofits must have an independent board of directors. The SFSP is funded through the United States Department of Agriculture and administers by the new Department of Education, Office of Nutrition Programs and Services, to provide reimbursement to sponsoring organizations for serving healthy meals and snacks to children. The goal of the summer program is for sponsoring organizations to serve well-balanced meals and encourage good eating habits in all summer food settings. Participating in the summer food must help ensure the delivery of benefits to the neediest children in your community. All program funds come from tax dollars. All funds must be spent on food-related costs for the summer food, and all participating agencies must account for how these funds are used. So typically, right now, we don't typically take new sponsors on right away. We typically have, if we have a site that is very interested in becoming a sponsor, we usually have them go under an existing sponsor for a year or two, depending on how they're doing. And then we bring them on from that way. So we can talk if anybody has any that knows of anybody that wants to become a new one, just let me know. So new sponsor training and responsibilities. Who does the program serve? Children through the age of 18. What kind of meals are served? Summer food facilities must follow meal patterns established by USDA. Breakfast consists of serving of fluid milk, fruit or vegetable, and grain or bread. Lunch or dinner required fluid milk, grain or bread, meat or meat alternative, and a serving of fruit and vegetable. Snacks include 2 of the 4 components: fluid milk, fruit or vegetable, grain or bread, or meat alternative. How does the summer food work? Well, summer food reimburses participating centers for serving nutritious meals according to the USDA meal pattern. The New Hampshire Department of Education Office of Child Nutrition Programs and Services approves sponsoring organizations to operate the program locally. They also provides training monitors for program and provides guidance and assistance to assure that the sponsors are meeting program requirements. Your key sponsor responsibilities: maintain program eligibility, serve meal that meeting program requirements, keep daily records of participants and number of meals served, comply with all regulations and instructions relating to summer food and civil rights. So the retention of records, short and simple. You must retain your summer records for 3 years plus the current year. We're now in FY22. That means you'll need to keep all records going back to FY 2018 for all sites that your organization sponsored. If the sponsoring organization is located in a different state from the operating site, all reviewable documents must be readily available on site to a state agency and or USDA agent for announced, unannounced visits. And again, the only thing that you don't have to keep are your temperature logs, because you only have to do that for a rotating 6 months. The administrative reviews will be conducted on site this year. I don't have a listing of who will be reviewed, but hope to soon. I don't have USDA guidance on how we're supposed to calculate this year, so that's what I'm waiting on. But I will have it soon, so stay tuned. For those that need to collect free and reduced applications, this is what needs to be collected. Children may be determined categorical eligible for free meals through participation in certain federal assistance program, such as SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or based on the status of homeless, migrant, runaway, or foster child. Children enrolled in a federally funded Head Start program or a comparable state-funded pre-kindergarten program are also categorically eligible for free meals. Children can also qualify for free or reduced price school meals based on household income and family size. Children from families with incomes at or below 100 to 130% of federal poverty level are eligible for free meals, and those with income between 130 and 185% of federal poverty level are eligible for reduced price meals. To see the current income guidelines, please visit, you can go to our website, and the guidelines are there. I have highlighted the areas that you will want to make sure that you are filling out. Step 1, children's first and last names, whether they are foster or homeless. If they are, then they would check it off and would need to sign it that this is the only child. If there are other children in the household, they would need to be determined by income. If they're categorically qualified through SNAP, TANF, then the case number would need to be entered, and then they would skip step 3. However, if determining by income, there are 2 areas. One is the child income, such as Social Security. The explanations of income are on the second page. And the second is the adult household income. Parents must fill in the total household members and last 4 digits of the Social Security. If they don't have one, they need to check the box. And step 4 needs to be completed and signed and dated. If it is not signed or dated, then it cannot be accepted. However, if you receive an application that has nothing in it, but the bottom is signed and dated, you can take that as they don't have any income or categorical. It just means that they have none and they didn't fill it in. Best practice, you can take it for face value, or you can verify if that's true. Granted, most of this is done through residential camps. You're going to know the families anyways and the children, and make sure that if they're doing it by income, that you have the number of total family members, because maybe it's just one child going to the camp, but there's 2 other children that are too young. So, but that would help with the income being determined. So this is the second page. It's the most important to you, as this is where you will put all your calculation and determinations. And when we come out for an administrative review, we'll want to see that this is all filled out. The best thing that you can do is have a designated determining official and then another person as a confirming official to make sure that you match up. Make sure your date on the form is the date that is determined when they are eligible. It is not the date that they signed it. So it is important that you complete these forms as they arrive to your assurance, that you are getting as they arrive, so you can assure that you are getting the correct determination and when it starts. The verification official is only used in NSLP. So, I mean, I really check this area. I mean, do your calculations on here if you're doing income. Make sure you have, the income eligibility amount, which is the next slide I'll show you. But this area is, if this area is not filled out, it's an incomplete. And I can't tell you, if they were supposed to be free, even if it's category, this needs to be filled out. So if it's not filled out, then you will have a finding on that. So these are the income guidelines. Please make sure that you follow these guidelines and note that there's a free section and a reduced section. A lot of times when things go out to parents, it's only showing like the reduced, because sometimes parents will put the, like $2, they make $2 less than what it is. And then they'll only get the reduced. And that happens a lot more in the schools, not so much in summer food. And make sure you keep these guidelines with your applications. So again, if we were to come out for a review, we know that these are the guidelines you used. So we're getting close. So now we're down to resources. The following page lists SFSP resources to sponsoring that have a successful program. So this is, this is our actual summer nutrition website. The following slides will provide you with wealth of information and have successful 2022 summer food service program. These four are the manuals that you should have, whether electronic or, take some of your training from this. But these are the guidelines, and these are the USDA guidelines. So, the most recent handbook updated has been the nutrition one in 2018. As soon as the rest become updated, we'll post them and we'll send them out as well. So more resources for eligibility manual for the food buying guide. Food buying guide is a great resource for child nutrition programs. And they've made a lot of changes and updates, and they actually have a mobile one too, mobile app for it as well. So, don't be afraid if you're questioning, like somebody questioned pickles. Pickles are not credible. So you can go into the food buying guide and it would show you that. These are Team Nutrition. It's a USDA. This is a great resource, has trainings, has all kinds of resources for summer food. And this is the child nutrition box I was talking about, where I got that recipe in the previous slides. So, the food items and components definitions and how to offer versus serve. These are just links to be able to do it. And these are all our resources that are on our website and our, what the links are and how you can get to those. So yeah, so that is pretty much it. We are down to questions. Kelly, I don't know if you've been reviewing the chat, but have you been looking at that or not?
Yes, Marty has been also fielding some responses and guidance as well too. there is one here on the mobile Routemapper tool.
But it's asking for the ArcGIS login and I won't let me create one. Huh. I've never had that happen. Aaron, let me get back to you on that. I'll definitely look into that.
There were also some comments, Patty, on the checklist
Yeah.
that you provided. So like I said in the chat, we are glad to hear that, and also are willing to provide any resources that you need to help your program to make things a little bit easier. So any feedback on those is great as well. We'd like to know what's working and also what's not working. So either we can improve upon it or find a new resource for you.
So this is the next slide shows our Office of Nutrition Programs and Services personnel. I am pretty much, Kelly is our administrator. So if you ever had to go above my head or feel you need to complain against me, then you go Kelly, which I hope would not happen. And then Marty Davis and Ruth and Tam are NSLP people. Marty does the SSO as well for Seamless Summer. And we do have that vacant position for fresh fruit and vegetable and NSLP. So if anybody that's looking for a job, that would be great. And we do have one more thing we need to talk about. These flags. We were able to purchase these flags at the end of last year. There are some that have already gone out to the larger sponsors. They are, and I tried to get one to be able to set it up so you could actually visually see it, but this is just a picture of it. These will be going to all sites that have open sites this year. You may actually get a few extra of them. They have bases that you can either stick in the ground, or they have bases where it's like a blow up that you can put water in it or sand in it, and you can use it that way. We're hoping that, we're going to see them all around Manchester and Nashua and Concord and the other, smaller towns. It's just a way of us to be able to say, hey, we're over here. It's free kids summer meals here, and hopefully it'll work. And let us know. And if you ever have ideas or anything that you think might be useful for you guys for getting the word out, or something else like this, it's something that we can possibly get a grant for and be able to purchase and move forward with. So those that don't have theirs yet for their open sites, I will be obtaining them soon, and we'll be either delivering them or mailing them depending on how heavy they are. We're very excited, and we understand, some of you guys, like the Boys and Girls Club, you may put it out and you go in for lunch, you come out, it might be gone. We totally understand. So whatever you can do is great, and we'll go from there.
Patty, we do have,
Yeah.
we do have one question from Heather. Are we able to send milk to our sites in a separate cooler from the meals as long as we serve the meal as one unit? We find that milk crushes in the food bags.
This is true. It does crush. When I used to do it, we always told them to put the milk in the bottom, but if you don't have a hard vegetable or fruit to put next to it, it's going to crush whatever you get in there. As long as, because you're serving, if a child says, no, I don't want the milk, then you're not doing a complete meal. So you can take the crate, but you need to serve, that milk needs to go with that bag, unfortunately. If you have a share table and somebody else wants that milk, that's fine. But because you're serving it, you have to serve all the components, and milk is its own component. So that is okay. I hope that helps. Got another.
And then we just have some comments on the flags. And also if you, we will go through the chat. I know there were a great number of you that wanted the new non-discrimination posters. So we will go through those and make sure those get mailed out to you. If you did not put it in the chat and you would like that, you can either put in the chat now or email Patty or myself, and we will make sure that your site gets those non-discrimination posters.
And just know that, you know, we are here for you guys. We rather you ask questions ahead of time. We rather give you technical assistance. That's what we do. That's why we're here. You know, we're like the middleman between USDA and you guys actually on the field. So we want to be able to help you run a successful program. So we do not mind questions, comments, whatever you have for us out there. And again, tomorrow may change and half of what I said today may change. So we're learning how to be quick on our feet, you know, and we'll see what happens. But I appreciate everybody on this training. If you have, like I said, it will be recorded. I will send out the training link to everybody once it's up. I will send certificates for those that I have on the list. If you phoned in, send me an email that you were attended. If you were 2 or 3 of you watching one video, you know, list those as well. And I wish you a good day.